folks, this is update number 2 for my M1931 group build. I've added color and weathering to this kit. It's a B-4 Trumpeter's Russian B-4 Howitzer. That's where we left it. It's a fantastic kit, but it has some drawbacks. I told you about the intention of removing this round on the gun base, so that's what I did. The resulting holes were covered with putty. Originally the crane was stowed, but it was just right fitted, so I raised it and moved the 4-pole towards the charging area and fixed it in position. Putty imperfections were covered with Mr. Surfacer 1200, especially along the barrel, and then the whole thing was airbrushed with rust primer. I wanted to establish it as a base for chipping and weathering in order to avoid additional black and white primer. With this breach possibility, there was no paint build-up trouble. So surfaces were fixed with matte varnish, and once dried, I airbrushed them with 2 layers of chipping fluid. Okay, this is not used chewing gum. Following switcher's advice, I got silly putty, and it works wonders in it. You don't need to spend a lot of money at all. Different green color tones were airbrushed. I used lighter colors for the top parts and darker colors for the lower parts. This is the result after removing tape and chewing gum, silly putty. Surfaces were wetted with water and stretched with different tools. In my opinion, the most practical one is the humble tool stick. That's how surfaces looked after working with them. I tried to chip them in logical spots, but randomness should play the main role here. Everything was fixed again with matte varnish, and then I painted stainless steel parts with a Revell iron. I went on dabbing iron pigments on the right spots, including tracks. The reason behind this weathering lies in the fact that wheels and stuff ends up losing the factory red primer protection. Here I started with a wooden base and seats, following Vallejo's leaflet tutorial included in the wood and leather set. First, I added here a layer of Japanese uniform, followed by flat earth wash. While the boards were drying, I attacked the seats with wood grain and dots of orange brown. I went on here with a chocolate wash. Surface grain was lightened with dark sand and a bit of Japanese uniform. More mapping with dark sand here, and finally smoke wash on those boards. Wood grain wash on the seats, and a last wash with black and smoke. Work on both the wooden base and the seats was done with in this alternate way in order to optimize time. I went on adding a general layer of dark green filter. I tried not to disturb pigmented areas, but it was not easy, so additional pigmentation will be necessary in the final stage to enhance selected shines. I started weathering boards with a bit of Russian earth. I would have done it with a diorama, but I wanted to darken the separation between boards. I should have done it before with acrylics, but I just forgot it. I fixed it with just a bit of brown wash and followed the same process with the rest of the base. Same thing with the running gear. I left the tracks for later. There it is. It will be enriched later on update 4 with the last phase of the diorama. I wanted to give the gun a grimy look, so I make a concoction with these elements and applied it in joints and places where it makes sense. I mixed a bit of Russian earth in the gooey mess, but it worked better following this method. First, adding earth pigment on the surface. Second, adding on top of it a grimy mix. Third, adding more oil to make it shine, and finally polishing imperfections, diluting them with white spirit. Those tracks were dealt in the same way. They lost their steel shine a bit. They lost it even more when I fixed the pigments with a track wash, so I had to recover it later with more iron pigment and iron revalidations. I retouched iron shines all around the gun. Rebel was useful for intense shines and iron pigments for duller shines. Finally, I dabbed graphite on key areas, and this is how the gun looked at this point. I wanted something grimy and used, but not too much. It's always a danger to get carried away with weathering enthusiasm. I went on painting the trailer tires with anthracite, and they were weathered following exactly the previous methods. After the gun experience, I had an easier and more methodic plan with these parts, and was quite happy with the result. Right, do you recognize this? I'm going to use it as a crane cable. I added a hook made from an odd plastic piece. I primed both the hook and the projectile with mixed rust primer, and then I used my fingers to rub iron pigments on the surfaces. The crown was painted with acrylics at the base of the projectile, and a final dry brush shine was given with Rebel as well. And that's it. Crane and projectile travel finished. So here you have it, folks. Take a look. I always have fun with the painting and weathering part. I tried not to over-weather it. It's not intended to represent a museum piece, but it shouldn't be a wreck either. In theory, it's an artillery piece that has been in use for a while. The crew maintains its joints with grease and oil, and they take good care of the barrel and loading area, scrubbing gunpowder rests, and keeping important parts clean and operative. All in all, it's been a fun build, and I do recommend this kit. There's going to be further weathering probably when I make the diorama, but up to this point I leave it as it is. On the next update you're going to see the crew painted and ready to operate this howitzer. So that's all by now. I hope you like the result, and now I'll leave you with a slideshow of the final result. See you soon, guys. Thank you very much for watching. Bye bye.